Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Birdie Golf Club podcast. I know this is a pretty informal setting for the start of the podcast, but had a busy weekend, been very exciting, some exciting content coming soon in collaboration with Golf Escapes. So check that out on the Instagram page. If not following already, it's Birdie Golf Club podcast. But anyway, get into this week's episode, which was recorded a little while ago before the Ryder Cup. And it's a fascinating conversation with Jen Saxton. Jen Saxton from ShotScope. Now, Jen not only works for ShotScope and handles a lot of the marketing for them, but she also is a fantastic golfer. Like, she doesn't speak highly enough of how good she is. She got to 120th, I believe, in the world as an amateur golfer. And she's still playing at some pretty impressive tournaments, including one coming up very soon, which we talk about in the podcast. So I hope you enjoy this episode. I think it's a really interesting insight into a part of the game we haven't looked into before, that being the female side of the game of golf, obviously, and the insight that Jen brings to that, and what it's like growing up in the game as a female golfer, but also just someone with a wealth of experience, played the game all her life, and equally has all of the data and everything else that comes along with ShotScope. So I hope you enjoy this episode. If you're interested in any ShotScope products, I encourage you to go there right away and get some. They are the best tech in golf, and you can use code Birdie Golf Club for 15% off your order. So that's enough from me. Maybe a little bit more next week from me. Who knows? Maybe I'll just keep to these short intros. Anyway, to the episode with Jen.
So with ShotScope, obviously we've got on-course data for how amateur golfers play, whether it's how they play Bethpage or how they just play in general. So we had a small number of rounds on the actual golf course. So we looked at certain holes that would maybe be key holes that are difficult or ones that we think might be quite interesting. So a couple of them were, for example, if they hit the fairway on the 7th hole, scored under par, I believe they're playing it as a par 4 for the Ryder Cup. Amateurs play it as a par 5, hence how they got under par. But if you missed that left or right, you were like 1.5 over par. So you're making a bogey or a double. So it was quite an impact of actually hitting that fairway. Made a big difference on their scoring. The most interesting one was we overlaid the average amateur driving distance and put that off the Ryder Cup tees around Bethpage. The average amateur can only reach 7 out of the 14 fairways.
I mean,
Now,
that is miserable, isn't it?
yeah, did get pretty close to a few of them coming up, just like three yards shy of the short stuff, but they were still left on some holes with over 300 yards to the green. So it's just a 3-shot hole. I guess that's why none of us play off those tees.
Because haven't they moved the first as well? Because the first tee normally obviously sits in that very famous spot below the sort of fencing there. Have they moved that to the left, is what I've heard?
I'm not too sure. I've just seen a video of Rory hitting a driver there today.
Right. I'd heard they'd moved it left to sort of almost point it kind of towards the green.
So that they can try and cut the corner.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of set up for that opening morning. Bryson hitting, no doubt they're going to put him out first. Like they're just going to, just to get the crowd going.
Yeah, I guess. It'll be rowdy, no doubt. Have you ever been to a Ryder Cup?
No, I haven't. No, I didn't go over when it was at the France National. I didn't go there. No, never been. Have you?
I got to go to the one at Gleneagles in 2014. I'd just started my first year at the University at Stirling, and it was like our first week at uni, and we got approached saying this company was looking for people to work on, I don't know what you call it, in the spectator village and activation. Effectively, we just walked people through a simulation of playing the 18th hole at Gleneagles. So they got a little team talk in a locker room from both team captains or one of them. They got to hit a tee shot on the 18th, an approach shot, and they had a putt to win the Ryder Cup. And we just walked them through that. You got kitted out in Ryder Cup merch. you did a half-day shift and you got paid £50 a day and a ticket to watch for the rest of the week. So it was
Nice. That's a
the best
no-brainer.
week I think I've ever had. I did the afternoon shift and went and watched every morning. Was up at 5 a.m. getting the first bus in, and there's no buzz quite like it. Everyone's just electric at silly o'clock in the morning.
It's amazing. It like captivates. It almost like it manages to fill the void of all the parts of the golf gives so much, but the elements that it doesn't give for that 1 week every 2 years,
Yeah,
it just seems to fill the void for every golf fan, every golfer, whoever it may be. It's just
yeah.
so special.
Yeah. If you ever get a chance to go, highly recommend it. I'll remember that week for the rest of my life. Even though I was working, it was a nice job, probably the best job I think I've ever had, and just an incredible experience all around.
2 years, we're in it. Is it Adair Manor? Is that where it's
Yeah,
going to next?
yeah, I think so.
There we go. That's the target. Get to Adair Manor would be pretty nice. But Jen, I mean, you spoke a little bit there, Jen, about your, your previous in golf and everything like that. Could you maybe like just describe to me how you first got into the game of golf? That was your earliest
Yeah.
golfing memory.
So my first sort of memory of golf, I think I was 10 years old. Just went down to the practice ground at Milnethorpe Golf Club with my dad and my little sister. He just got us trying to hit golf balls pretty much. That's my memory. Varied success. There was a lady from the county that saw us down there. Maybe not the first time. Can't think she would have signed us up the first time. But she was just so happy to see young girls playing golf, and wanted us to join the county. It was £5 for your year. You got a few competitions, a bit of coaching in a group. And I think if she hadn't signed us up to that, I probably wouldn't have stuck at it, because it got you playing with other girls similar age and showed you that you weren't maybe the only one. Because at school I was the only girl that played golf, really. And none of my friends played. And I then just, I'm a competitive person. I like trying to get better at everything, so golf's quite addictive in that you can, once you've hit one good shot, you want to hit another one, and why didn't I hit that one the same? So you just, it had me hooked when I was little. Can't say the same for my little sister. We were both introduced to it exactly the same way, and she doesn't play at all now. She was quite good, but I don't know why I stuck at it and she didn't. And then just grew up playing golf in Kinross, junior competitions against all the guys, try to keep up with them off the tee. I wasn't great as a junior. I think I was off about 5 when I was 17. Then I went off to University of Stirling. At the time, I was like, I'd just go get a job. My golf coach said, what if you could play golf while you're at university? So I was like, okay. But universities have a golf team. That's how we approached it, rather than what degree do I want to go and get. Ended up at Stirling, 4 years there, and got quite good playing and practicing every day. You're in quite a good environment, but it was never really something I wanted to pursue, like playing golf. A lot of the people there all turn pro, or they want to go and give it a go. I came down quite quickly in handicap. Over that time, I got to +1 by the time I finished. When I graduated, I was like, well, what am I going to do? I didn't really know. It's like, golf's not the route I want to go down, but I don't have a job lined up. Well, I just go caddy for the summer and maybe try Q school at the end of the year. But my heart was never really in that. I think you've got to be really determined and driven to go and put in the hours of practice, and it's hard work turning pro. And it just so happened that a woman at Scottish Golf reached out to me and said, ShotScope are looking for a golfer with a marketing degree. Why don't you give them a call? And that's what I had. So I phoned up my boss, Gavin Deere, who's a very good golfer himself. And that was about 7 years ago, and never really looked back. Yeah, that's a little overview. My golf got a lot better when I started working.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard concept to maybe get your head around, but even though working in a golf company, going and playing golf was still a break away from work for me, and I just enjoyed it a lot more. And I started playing better because of that. In my role at ShotScope, involved in data day in and day out, so I can see how golfers are improving, simple things you can do to improve without, I don't know, just how you can get better without making swing changes or any of that.
Sure,
And
yeah.
just made me think a little bit differently on the golf course, and I started playing better too.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Do you think now, this is sort of looking back with hindsight, but do you think if you'd have had that data and that ability to be able to see where maybe your game was, the areas of the game more clearly that were dropping down, whilst you were maybe at a uni and the Q school opportunities were there, and you had more time to do those sort of things? Do you think that would have equally improved your enjoyment of competition golf because of results and things like that? Do you think that maybe if that data was around, it would have pushed you in a different direction and you'd have maybe tried to go pro, or was it just never for you?
No, not necessarily, because we still had, like, we all used the shot tracking system at university anyway, and everyone was compared against one another. You had we'd set goals and targets of where you're trying to get to. So wasn't like the data side of it was totally new to me. I just think, like, to be successful in the pro game, you've got to be winning everything at amateur level or winning regularly, and I wasn't doing that. So I'm thinking, if you can't beat all the other amateurs, when you go out into the pro world, there's even more of them. So it just becomes a lot more difficult. And somebody said to me once, when you're sitting there and you're 70 years old, would you wish you'd given it a go? I was like, no, I enjoy playing golf. And I think the minute you start trying to play to pay for your mortgage or something like that, it takes a lot of the fun out of it.
Yeah.
So I just play to have fun.
I mean, I've spoken to, I had Giles Evans on the podcast, who was a Clutch Pro Tour player. And, he was very candid with the fact that, listen, I think he's two wins away from, playing Hotel Planners Tour status. He's 3 rounds of golf away from DP World Tour status. And he's like, but the likely, it's just going to be so hard to do that because I'm playing against, 140 other guys every single week that all are good enough to win, and top 13 break even. Like that's the week. So all the best with trying to make a living doing this.
Yeah.
And
you've got to have a good financial backing behind you. It's hard work going out sourcing sponsors and getting all of that, and it's a different kind of pressure, I guess, if you're feeling like you have to perform for not just yourself, but because you're getting sponsorship from all these other people. Yeah, it's not easy.
no.
It's not for everyone either. I know a few people, like really successful amateurs, that you'd think when they turn pro they'll just succeed, but traveling the world week in, week out, it's not all it's made out to be. Everyone maybe thinks, oh, you're getting to go to all these nice places, but the reality of it is you see a golf course, an airport, and a hotel room.
Yeah.
And
it's a full-time job. It's not a walk in the park like some people think it is.
Yeah. I've been to a lot of nice places and fortunate to get to go to them all as well, but you just, I don't know, it's not a holiday when you're away.
No, that makes sense, Jen. And so for you, obviously joining, I mean, that sounds like an unbelievable turn of events. That the degree that you had, and equally with ShotScope. But did you kind of always plan that? Was that something you could see that the game was going towards? So you thought, well, it's worth getting a degree in this, and also keeping my interest in golf because I can see there's opportunities in that field. Was that a plan, or was that just a moment?
No, I think it's all about who you know, I think, in the world. Right place, right time. Very fortunate to end up where I am. So I hadn't really planned to go and do a marketing degree. That was just because I could do golf at the same time while I was there. And fortunate, really, that I can work in golf. I'm so glad I took it up when I was 10 years old, and it's given me all these opportunities, not only just to play, but to work and go and travel the world with work and playing tournaments. I remember when I first started, Gavin always said to me, if you can enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And if you love golf, what's better than working for a golf company?
Exactly.
It's been good. And when I started at ShotScope, it was a really small team. small company. They were only, what would that be, 3 years old, and we had 15 members of staff. And then in the 7 years I've been there, we've grown now. We've got about 42 staff. So the dynamics changed quite a lot. We've grown significantly in the UK, but also over in America. It's been like 3 years in the making getting into all the big retailers over there here. PJ Superstore, Dick's Sporting Goods. And finally just did that last year. Got in store with them and they're rolling out more products. So everyone sees that and they're like, oh, you're doing well. And you're like, yeah, but that's taken a while.
Yeah.
And
it also means having to work sort of those times as well, right? Which is like now.
Quite used to hopping on a call late at night or even the weekends and Saturday nights and stuff. People do calls and podcasts even at those times. So
crazy people.
Yeah. But it's good to see, like when I joined that, I had no idea what ShotScope could grow into and become. And it's actually really exciting to see how far we've come already, but how far we can still go. There's a lot of opportunity out there for the company to grow, and I'm just excited to be a part of it, really.
What do you think? I've got my own thoughts on it, but what do you think is the reason that, you know, golf technology has sort of come on leaps and bounds over the past sort of 10 sort of 15 years, even the last 5 years? What do you think it is about ShotScope that sets it apart from other companies? You don't have to name them, but you know, what do you think it is about the way it's done?
I think at ShotScope's core, it's just a key group of golfers that all really love the game and are trying to make golf easier and more fun for all golfers of all abilities. We started out as a shot tracking company, but kind of diversified now into all sorts of distance measuring devices and apps and everything that should hopefully make the game easier, but also more fun for golfers. And we're not just out there making products for the sake of it. We're making them because we genuinely believe they'll help you on the golf course, and we all use them ourselves, you know.
Yeah.
I think the fact that we are Scottish, home of golf, all of that, and it is golfers at its core, that's what helps us stand apart. I mean, the calibre of golfers we have in the company now is insane. Someone said, I think ShotScope's probably got the best golfing IQ in the industry. Gavin was former Walker Cup, former PGA Pro. We've got other former teaching pros. We've got a new sales guy called James White who just recently shot 11 under a round of 60 at Leaving Links course record. Had a putt for 59. There's a lot of good golfers behind the scenes working really hard to help ShotScope succeed, and it's just great to be part of it.
Yeah, and I think you can tell that through I've got the X5, and I was slightly concerned. Like I've had golf technology, golf watches, things like that before, and I've always found they took me out of the game. That's how I kind of felt was the experience of it. And as handy as they were before, I always kind of just thought, you know what, I just want my scorecard. I just want a pencil, and I just want a moment, you know, just away from my phone and everything like that. And I think what I noticed about the X5 like straight away was that it was an accompaniment to golf. It wasn't a distraction to the game. And even down to the GPS and everything, I thought worked seamlessly and brilliantly. The thing I was most concerned about was the tracking tags, like, because I've seen like other brands versions of tracking tags.
Instead of them, it's fine.
I've seen like your Arcoses and stuff like that, and people like contorting themselves to try and get some type of read on what club they're using, and I just thought that looks like a nightmare. Like, I have trouble enough getting over the ball and just trying to hit the shot I'm trying to hit, let alone thinking about what's going to happen after the round when I look back on it. And just like with the tracking tags, it was such a seamless thing and such a clever thing of having just like obviously in the strap that it picks up, you know, what club you're using. You don't even ever have to think about even just making contact with already reads it. It's great. And then to be able to look back after the round and have all of my yardages there to see how short I actually hit my clubs, which I'm not sure whether to thank ShotScope for.
The harsh reality everyone learns at some point.
It's a nightmare, you know. I mean, I cannot have those sort of gappings going on between my 4 and my 5 iron. It's just not. That is not okay. How can the 4 iron go 70 yards shorter on average? It was just a really great experience because it sort of like gave me the thing of, right, this isn't here to take me out of the game. This is, like you said, made by golfers to complement your game and to make it even more enjoyable with obviously the technical data that's going to make you better at golf as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of features that you can throw into a watch, and we try and keep it golf specific. For example, like you get the Garmin watches that do your running, cycling, every other sport under the sun, and then they also do golf. And they're great as well. But we just want to be really good at golf. We want to do the best golf watch that we can possibly do, or not necessarily watch, but golf product, I guess. So there won't be any features thrown in there that are really irrelevant to golf. Everyone laughs at, I rave about one feature that I use almost every round, and it's the last shot feature. It's so simple. I like to figure out how far the ball's rolling on the day. So it'll tell you how far you've hit your driver. I know how far I carry it, so then I go, right, I'm getting 20 yards a run today, 25 yards or whatever. It's just, it doesn't necessarily, it maybe takes you away from the game a little bit, but for me, it really helps me figure out what I'm hitting on the golf course.
Yeah. I'm one for numbers and everything. Like I've got like in my scorecard holder, I'll have all my yardages and everything like that. So I appreciate that. It was more of like my previous experience before has been like I'm then having to get out my phone sometimes and stuff like that. The fact that you can forget about your phone completely, was like, that's nice.
That's a big point that gets raised by a lot of golfers is they want to just leave their phone either in the car, put it in their bag, and just switch off from the outside world and go and play their round of golf.
Treat it like Augusta. That's what everyone wants to do. It doesn't matter if I'm just playing Seaford Head Golf Course. That's Augusta to me.
Just switch off from the outside world and try and play the best golf that you can, I guess. So, I mean, that's how ShotScope started, and that's the reason we've done what we have. To grow as a company, not everyone wants to play golf like that. Some people like to have their phone on them. They like to stay connected to the world. They like to be checking stuff. Now a lot of live scoring and competitions is done through your mobile phone, so it's kind of a requirement that people have it. So we have a few products or features that you can use on the phone as well if you wanted to. The GPS maps are free on the app for all ShotScope users, whether you've got a rangefinder or a watch, you can go on and look at them. But again, that's up to you whether you take your phone out on the golf course and you use that. Personally,
a free app is an unbelievable thing in this day and age, and the fact that it is for all ShotScope users is something else, really, you know. And I have a feeling with the brand's ethos that will always be the case as well, most likely.
Yeah, we've always sort of pitched that we'll never charge a subscription or anything, and it's what sets us apart from our competitors, really, to access all the stats and data, or even access like more courses or access hazards on some other products. You have to pay a subscription or you pay more to get more detail out of the product. We never have and never will do that. The other thing that the tech guys are always doing is improving the products once they're already out. So when we first launched the X5, it didn't have the whole maps included on it. It was just the like front, middle, back of the green. And then once we'd developed that, we then implemented it into the X5 as well. And if you had a watch, you just benefited from that upgrade. You know, wouldn't charge you anymore to go and get it. I think that's why a lot of people like ShotScope as a brand, is we're always trying to look after you even after you've purchased a product.
Yeah, part of the ShotScope sort of like family almost in many ways. And I think there was also one feature that I forgot, but now I have to mention, the dogleg feature and the layup distances to 100 and 150 yards.
Do you use them a lot?
Really, really cool. Well, do you know what? No, I didn't. right? And I'm now annoyed because
Yeah,
I got to the hole and I did my usual thing of just going, yeah, but that's fine. I just want to get it up there as close as I possibly can to the green
yeah.
because in that moment I think I'm good enough to that should be my goal. But in reality, for me to shoot better scores, those numbers are really, really important. Like, is it worth me even looking at this dog leg, or is it worth me just laying up to these numbers? I thought that was and so easy to like find as well, which is helpful.
I mean, so probably one of the key messages we found throughout all the data is that you're better just getting as close to the green as you can.
Really? Okay, I was doing the good thing.
Laying up to a set number is fine, but think about where the bad shot goes from that distance. Is it further
Yeah.
away than the bad shot from closer to the green? Like, if you hit a poor chip from 30 or 40 yards, it's probably still going to be closer than a bad one from 100 yards. So your average is always going to be a little bit better. But I think golfers in general remember that one shot that they've hit to a foot because it was it's a perfect 56-degree wedge from 95 yards. I can do that every time. But then the other hard bit is you're probably never going to lay up exactly to that number. Not in the amateur game.
Yeah.
Different for the pros. They're a bit more dialed in and they can control it slightly better than 10, 15 handicap. But yeah, an amateur trying to lay up to an exact number is probably not going to work out too well for you. Just get as close as you
That's
can.
good to know. That's good to know.
Drivers
I
off
did
the
the right
tee,
thing.
3-wood second shot. Just get it as close as you can every time.
I had Scott Fawcett on the podcast a couple of months ago, and he'll love that. He'll love that, because that's something I think he gets sort of like pasted as the guy who's just like get it as close to the green as possible, but it's more of a case of like, well, what's the best shot here statistically? So,
Yeah.
he's going to enjoy that for sure if he's
I mean,
listening.
the data doesn't lie. Obviously, there's scenarios where you do have to lay up, like if there's a big pond in front of the green, or there will be scenarios where you can't just hit a driver off every tee and get as close as you can in 2 on a par 5. But 9 times out of 10, just get it down there.
Okay, that's good to know. I've got the mini driver in the bag now, so I feel like way more confident with that.
Do you hit that off the fairway?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I've hit it off the fairway. I hit it off. I mean, I thinned. Say I kept it low and out of the wind is a bit too much, really. But they're so forgiving. I couldn't believe how forgiving it was, and they just sort of they just this time of year when it's getting windy, they just sort of pierce through the air just way better. And my issue has always been with driver is like setting tee height and. If I set it too low, I end up hitting this sort of like, I really come down on it and then I'm pretty neutral otherwise. Then if I set it too high, I'm just skying it. So being able to just tee it low with the mini and just hit it like I would a 5 wood.
Yeah,
it's nice. Yeah. I think I don't know whether the data will support it. Maybe we'll find out like as more and more get introduced into the amateur game. But I feel like it might be a really big sort of club in the amateur game just for that idea of dispersion and everything like that.
Yeah, I've never actually hit a mini driver, but on the same sort of topic, we've seen more people using 5 woods, 7 woods, even 9 woods, as you would maybe expect. It's all over the media at the moment. Like people are ditching the 5 irons, even 4 or 5 irons, and switching them out for woods over hybrids. Used to be a lot of hybrids, but now it's shifting to the woods. And certainly from people I've played with, some good golfers as well, they're like, I love my 9 wood. I can And you're like, but I'm sure you can hit like a 5 iron.
I've seen Crank go up to I think they got up to a 15, which is, that's just like a pitching wedge, just straight up in the air.
It would look a bit weird looking down at that. It might look like it's just going to hit you in the face.
Yeah, exactly. Confidence inspiring. That's probably,
just sweep it a little.
Now, Jen, I know you were a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for here? You sort of didn't give yourself a lot of praise, which is normal for how good a golfer you actually are. I saw you got up to, at one point, was it top 130 in the world? Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. Scottish, I don't know, it's a British thing, Scottish thing.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
really likes talking about how good they are or how good they were. But yeah, I'll try explain that a little
You
bit
can do it.
better.
You can do it.
So I play off +4 now, and back in 2022, I won a relatively big tournament called the St. Roe Trophy, 54 holes at St. Andrews, with the final round on the old course on a Sunday. And that year, all the grandstands were up. Big 150th up the side of the first. It was really quite cool. We play that tournament at the end of May, so it's only a couple of months or a month and a half before the Opens there. So it's unique in that aspect, getting to play there. But anyway, I had a very, very up and down final round. Went from making a 7 on the par 3 11th to then finishing with a run of threes, sort of 15, 16, 17, and finally parred the last. But I don't know my score when I'm playing. And after I'd hit my shot onto the green on the last, I asked my caddy, I said, look, could sense something was up with him. I was like, do I need to hold a putt here, or what's the deal? I've actually got a chance at winning this, even after making a 7 on a par 3. And he says, yeah, they've got you leading by 3. Just go and enjoy your moment on the green. I'm like, no
Wow.
way. I'm like, how? I said, I made a 7. Like, how can I be actually winning this tournament? And I had like 3 putts from 20 feet to win this tournament. I was like, oh, can't believe that's just happened. Family were there watching. It's one of the first times they've all come along to watch. It's kind of on the doorstep. So that was really cool moment. And that's kind of what kick-started my Scottish career. That got me picked for the women's team. And then since then, I've been in the Europeans and home international team for the last 4 years. And then this year is the first time I've been picked for the World Team Championships, which is the team of 3. And that is getting played in Singapore in the first week in October. So
Wow.
there's another country I'll get to go and see through playing golf. The unique thing, I guess, about this scenario is Gavin, my boss I mentioned earlier, he actually won the men's equivalent of it back in 2008, Eisenhower Trophy. They played over in Australia. So he played in that with Callum McCauley and Wallace Booth, I believe. So yeah, I can't imagine there's too many golf companies that have had 2 staff members playing the same, well, both playing in the Worlds, I guess.
That's amazing.
So it's been great. I mean, it's been hard work trying to balance work and life, playing tournaments, and trying to compete with all these sort of the best amateurs in the world.
Mm.
I've always kind of said now I'll just keep going until I stop competing with them. I sit at my desk Monday to Friday, go to the range at night or play 9 holes. As long as I can still score similar scores to them, I'll keep going. But the minute I start slipping and not having a chance amongst them, then I'll take a step back.
That's understandable. Like you said, I mean, they're doing it as a full-time job, and you're just fitting it in around
Yeah.
your full-time job, which can be easy. Have you looked ahead to where you're going to be playing in Hong Kong
I've
and
not
what the
looked that
course
up yet.
setup's like?
Other than the fact it's really close to the airport. Like,
So
sitting
ideal.
actually to the airport. I had a quick look on the map, but no, I'll need to go and do some. So generally before I play a tournament, I'll use the ShotScope, my strategy feature, and plot out how I might play the golf courses, and then by the time I get over there to play a practice round, I feel like I've already played it. I've done my prep, and it's just like I know the course a bit better than if I just rocked up and looked at the yardage book on the day.
Yes, yeah.
It's just a little bit of, I don't know, homework before you go. So
Yeah. Would you say that's pretty important for everyone as well to do that?
I think if you're going away and playing tournaments, or if you're playing even just an open at a different golf course, it's good to go and research it, because there's nothing worse than standing on a hole and not knowing what way it goes, or what the run out is, or how far your driver might go, or, basic strategy things you could solve before you even stood on that tee. Just the more information you know, the more confident you can be and trust what you're going to do. And then you're probably going to hit a better shot.
Absolutely.
But if you're playing the same course week in, week out, you probably don't need to do that.
Yeah.
There is
Unless,
a
I
feature.
suppose, you've got your nemesis hole that you just step
Yeah.
up to and play the same shot every time and it never goes well. Then it's
Yeah.
probably worth looking at the data on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, within ShotScope as well, there's a course analysis feature, so it's ideal for the person that plays their weekly medal every week or goes out 2 or 3 times a week, same course. We have a ShotScope stroke index, so it's your own personal stroke index on how hard you find the holes. So obviously number 1 is the hardest hole for you. It might not be the stroke index 1 on the card, but it's the one for you. So, for example, we looked at the PGA show 1 year. My own account got used as the demo to just walk through people the capabilities of the product, and it quickly became apparent that the 5th hole at my home club was a little par 3, and if I missed the green right, I had a 50-50 chance at making a par, getting up and down. But if I missed the green left, I never got up and down. And it sloped severely from left to right. So then the next time I went and stood on that tee, I was like, I don't really want to miss this left now. I hadn't ever crossed my mind before. It's probably a bit of a negative thought, but don't twist that around and say, I'll just aim a little further right. And if I do end up pulling it a little, I might still catch the left side of the green. Whereas if I miss it right, I've got a chance of getting a par. Whereas left was just bogeys every day for me.
You're essentially just moving your shotgun dispersion just a little bit more to the right, and hopefully that big pull hook doesn't come into play.
Yeah, exactly. So there is many different ways golfers can use the product, whether it's you play the same course all the time, you never play the same course again, you just travel. There's lots of different features in there that everyone can benefit from, really.
See, I wanted your help on this, Jen, as well, because I was on Instagram the other day and a thing popped up that gave you 5 choices, and the top 2 that came up immediately that I gravitated towards was that if you could have one superpower for the rest of your golfing life, and the 2 that really stood out was hit every green in regulation, or hole every putt inside 15. Now, I don't want you to look at any data. I know it's probably going on in your head. You've got all the data for it already anyway.
Yeah, I look at that much, so it's hard to remember what's what.
What's your gut feeling? Shall I tell you what my gut feeling was first? That'll be fair, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I've got my gut, so I'll not change it depending on what you say.
My gut feeling was every putt inside 15.
I went the opposite.
Okay, but this is why you're in the business of data, because I think you're right.
Well,
I think you're right.
So my thought for going for every green in regulation is, and it was relating to the data a little bit, but greens in regulation is a stat that we see directly correlates to handicap the most. As your handicap, let me get this right. As your handicap goes down, you're going to hit more greens. So the higher handicaps are hitting the least, and it's like a direct line, really. So to me, if you were hitting 18 greens, you're going to have some that are close and inside 15 feet anyway. You're probably going to make a few birdies. You might 3-putt 1 or 2 of them, but you're probably going to score okay. Whereas your hole every putt inside 15, they could be all for pars, they could be some for bogeys, doesn't necessarily say how many shots it's taking you to get onto the green.
Yeah, that's what it basically
depends on what level of golfer you are. Someone asked a similar question in the office the other day, which one would you rather? I can't remember the 2 things they gave, but it was along those lines.
Right. Yeah, I've ran it through because I very sort of quickly responded with it's every putt inside 15 feet, and there is no other correct answer. I did that horrible thing of being so confident. I know, I'm sort of pretty disgusted with myself. And a lot of people agreed, but then there was a few people that went absolutely wrong. Is every green in regulation? They're because I can 2-putt, but I can't make every green in regulation.
Yeah.
the ability is there to quite normal for somebody to go around and have 36 putts in a round, but how many times do they make 18 greens in regulation?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just never really. And I got ChatGPT involved, as everyone does now, on these things, and I don't know how reliable the data was on it, but even if it's off by 10%, it's still proved that I was completely and utterly wrong, and it's every green in regulation, and it does, again, like it's a sort of slopes to do with obviously your handicap and your ability, but it basically says that pretty much even a high handicapper is going to have a way better chance of shooting close to level par if they're making every green in regulation.
Yeah, because they're not going to 3-putt every green, you know.
Yeah.
If you take
Makes
a
sense
20
now, I mean.
handicap and they hit every green in regulation, they're going to beat their handicap.
Yeah.
I'd like to think they
Yeah.
would anyway.
I feel silly.
Golf makes us all feel silly at times.
I must have come off like a really bad putting day and just gone like,
Maybe.
give me those putts inside 15 feet.
Yeah.
I'll take them every day.
Well, it's the thing with golf. You always remember what doesn't go well, and
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
what sits with you. You don't remember the worldy shot out of a bunker or anything like that. It's always, I missed that 3-foot putt.
Yes. Yeah.
If I'd have done this, I could have shot that. So everyone comes away from golf thinking. I mean, if on social media you get all sorts in the comments, like the one that we see the most is how far people hit their clubs. So we would put a little reel out or something that would have the average distance of drivers, 7-irons or anything. And you always get the person that says, but I hit mine this far, this data's wrong. You're like, no, we're saying this is the average. Like, you might hit your driver 330 once.
Yes. Yeah.
Or you might hit it that far on average, but we're not saying that's our database average does not do that.
No. Well, so many people just see total and they don't see a carry.
Yeah.
Which is...
In general, I think a lot of amateurs remember how far they've hit the one time they've hit a really good 7-iron or a good 5-iron, a good pitch and wedge, and right, that's how far I hit my clubs. Whereas in actual fact, the average is the better number. Even if it means if you flush it and you go a little bit long, you're allowing for the miss of not flushing it and coming up short, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I was very happy that on my first round using the X5, there was a very downhill par 5, and I was playing with the wind, and that one rolled out to 398.
Nice.
So that went in that way. It was nice, but I was a little bit annoyed that it didn't just go that extra 2 yards. I was like, if it could just go that extra 2, that'd be a 400, and I'd retire happy, like I'm done. But it really skewed my averages, but that is coming down rapidly.
I mean, especially as we get into the winter and you get no run.
Oh, yeah.
That was one stat that we'd done recently for someone was, how does golf change from winter golf versus the summer?
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I was a bit shocked, and it was more people hit more fairways in the winter. Can't be right. Like, they're playing more golf in the summer. They're going to be more accurate. But it was just purely down to the firmness of the golf course. Like, balls will bounce and run through the fairway into the rough. Whereas in the winter, typically, they're going to pitch and stop or only go a little distance, so they're not quite making it to the rough. And it was just one of those at first glance. Again, you think, that can't be right. But then when you actually think about it and you read the data, you're like, oh, that's a fair point.
I wonder if that corresponds to more greens in regulation as well through winter. Does that come into play? Because obviously you got a lot of clean and place as well situations.
Yeah.
So they're giving themselves a preferred lie.
I should have thought about this before I brought it up, but
no,
I can't
you're
remember
good.
off the top of my head. However, it could also be because you've not got all the run, it's not going as far, so then you've got a longer setting shot. So people maybe aren't hitting as many. There's so many caveats to every stat.
Golf giveth and it taketh away. That's what it does.
Yeah.
And actually, I was going to say to Jen, you are the first female guest on the Birdie Golf Club. You are, which is a terrible statistic, but it is nonetheless.
True in golf, though, like, you know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's just I've reached out to a few and it just hasn't worked out. But
Yeah.
It's wonderful to have you here. So I think for a little bit of insight as well, because there's, you know, all sorts of people that listen to the podcast. I think like 10% female listenership as well that are there. And how have you found, and given your honest opinion, from starting out when you were young, how have you found the journey of being a female golfer, and how areas that have improved, but also areas that are still stuck and need to change to improve the experience for a female golfer playing the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was lucky when I first started out that I got involved with the county girls thing so young, because it helped me meet other girls similar age. Probably kept me playing a bit more. I maybe wouldn't have stuck as much. I remember just turning up to play a medal as a little girl, and it was me and all the big guys, and it was nerve-wracking, you know, but once you played a few rounds with them, you know, they were all right. They weren't that big and scary, and quite often you could beat them with your handicap, and I think that was what I liked about golf, was you had the handicap and it made it level for everyone. So to start with, I wasn't too intimidated, I don't think. As I've grown up a little bit, there's just not the numbers in the game. So one struggle I had was when I was really trying to get my handicap down to get into certain events and play at a higher level. The club I played at only had maybe 10 ladies play on a weekly medal. And it was this rule and the CSS and everything that if you didn't have more than 10 play, standard scratch wouldn't change. And at my club, it was set at 1 under par. So I really couldn't get my handicap down, and it was difficult. So I used to go around asking all the women, please can you play the medal? Please can you play? So I moved club to a course where I played off 5 at the time, and I was the 5th lowest female member, which was really quite rare. They had a scratch ladies team, all category 1 golfers, and for me that just helped me play more competitive golf against other women, because otherwise I was going out playing against the older ladies at the club and it wasn't very competitive for me, but still it's a good learning experience. Nowadays I think golf's come a long way. The club I'm at's great with men and women, you know. They have mixed medals. I can go and play off the white tees. I was actually chatting yesterday about, not even that long ago, they had a female or a girl at my level asking to play 2 rounds off the white tees, and the club wasn't going to let her. She just wanted to practice for a tournament that she was going to play that was a longer golf course, and they're like, no, we're not allowing it. So I'm glad to see that's sort of changed, and all the men can play off the red tees, women can play off the white tees. I think that's good I think more guys should go and play off the front tees and shoot under par. Go and do it off a shorter distance and get comfortable shooting low scores. Same for juniors. Rather than going and playing off the back tees, just go play off the front tees and try and shoot as low as you can. And it's not necessarily just because it's shorter, it's easier. But if they want to go on and turn pro, being comfortable under par is a good skill to learn as early as possible, really. Sorry, sidetrack from the women's side of it.
No.
Personally, I've not really had too many issues with anything. Generally, it's the smallest locker room in every golf club, but that's just what it is. And there's not the numbers really to justify having a bigger locker room in a lot of places. I did read a comment the other day. It's on a ladies' Facebook golf group, and it was anonymous, so I don't know the name of the club, but they'd effectively stopped a 12-year-old girl from playing in the club championship because she was too young. They said it was to be capped at 14, but she had lower handicap than half the ladies that were playing, and she was really keen to go out and play. They're like, no, you're too young. I thought I didn't like that, and all the comments were outraged that was still going on, saying that the women should be more encouraging to the young girls, because they'll just give it up otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that's an issue of places being like in isolation almost, rather than sort of like a broader issue that's going on, or do you think that's just?
I think that's just a couple of clubs that have probably just got a few older members that don't like to change their ways. And I'm sure even in the men's game, there'll still be similar scenarios where it's old members at the club that are running or making decisions and they don't like change. The clubs that are doing well and attracting new members are the ones that are willing to try new programs. Like my course has got a get into golf for men, women, and juniors. We've got a little 9-hole course on the side. They can join that, and they coach people into it. And I think they then transfer them onto full membership.
Fantastic.
It's a good setup to get people in because it's really hard to get into golf, I think, unless you know
there's
someone.
a barrier to entry, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like that is the nature of it. You need to have some kind of equipment and you need to know some of the rules, which can be like, if you've never picked up a golf club before, even if you've just gone to a range, going out on a golf course is a whole other thing, especially one that might have, certain traditions or whatever it may be attached to it and stuff like that. It's great to hear, Jen, that you've not had those sort of issues, or at least they don't stick in your mind of being like a problem, which is nice to hear.
I mean, there is clubs where they're stuck in their ways where you have to turn up dressed a certain way or you can't. There's a club in Fife where there's a separate women's entrance and a separate women's lounge, and women sit in this room and men sit in that room, and there's only one room that they're allowed to sit in together. It was a few years ago I was there. That didn't leave the best taste in my mouth. We were sitting there with just like not even a jacket, like quarter-zip top on. Oh, you can't wear that in here, and you're like, oh, come on, like it's, I don't know.
So outdated.
Yeah,
yeah.
There's no. I get there's a place for tradition and rules, but if we're trying to grow the game, you need to make it a bit more accommodating for everyone.
Yeah, no, I got quite a common theme on the podcast is like golf is obviously far more accessible now, like what we've been speaking about, and that barrier to entry is coming down little bit by little bit. But you don't want to also, like, I'm a big football fan, and I feel like VAR has stripped away some of the beauty that was part of the game of football, which was mistakes, and you could celebrate a goal without having to wait for a decision to go through. And there is a worry, I guess, with the game of golf, with the accessibility becoming an even bigger thing, that traditions can be stripped away. But I think in general, the majority of the golfing world shares the same viewpoint that we do, that certain places can have their traditions. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Of course, you're going to have places like Singaports where you have to wear the long socks.
Yep.
Like socks up to the knees. No worries. You get to play an incredible golf course, and the barrier to entry there is a little bit of dress code, but it's steeped in history.
Yep.
Completely understandable. That doesn't transfer as well to a local 18-hole golf course, and just because they got members that for them that is their home of golf, they treat everyone a certain way, is just, they will die out, those clubs, in an era where golf has never been as popular.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
the
ones that have the rules, like your Singaports, if you're not willing to comply or you don't want to do that, then you don't play. That's your choice. Like they've outlined what the rules are. Same with, I saw a post about Cypress Point on the back of the Walker Cup, and the number of rules that they have, like it was like a list. But again, if you don't, it's quite a traditional place, very exclusive, hard to get a game there. And if you get the chance, you follow those rules because you might never get the chance again. I don't know. I'm not against people having the rules. I played golf with a guy who joined a club where the members have to turn up in a tie and a jacket before they play. And he goes, if I didn't like the rules, I wouldn't have joined. I can't sit here and complain about it, because if I didn't want to do it, I just wouldn't have joined. It's ultimately his decision at the end of the day, and that's just their little bit of.
Those little things can be special as well, can't they? In some ways, you know what I mean? Like, that those little, maybe there's a junior at that club, and being part of that sort of like tradition of dressing that way kind of becomes a memory that carries with them a lifetime, and things like that. So, like you said, it's balance, though, isn't it? Like if a golf course should know where it's at without sounding like you're talking down to certain courses. Yeah, there's levels to this game. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Obviously, you've got Hong Kong coming up, Jen, and you've got all the work with ShotScope that you're doing. So, what sort of what's your goal when you go to Hong Kong? Obviously, to win has to be part of it, but are you going there for the experience as being like the first thing that you're going to think of when you're heading there, or are you going there just game face on, doing your course analysis, doing your round planners, just getting
More the
serious about it?
experience for me, I'd say. First time playing in an event of that level. A lot of the girls playing I will have played golf with or against before, but for me it is a step up from anything I've ever done before, so I just really have to try and take it all in and enjoy it as much as I can. Probably be nervous because it's a bigger event, different type of golf, different type of golf course. Will be out my comfort zone a little bit. Have to deal with all the humidity and how far the ball's probably going to fly. Be quite different to Scotland in October. So
Bit of a change,
yes,
just a small change.
yeah, yes, I want to go and perform, play well, and try and compete. But I just take it one. It's so cliche, but one shot at a time, and just enjoy the whole experience of being there, and try and put together a good round at the end of the day.
I
On
I hope
paper,
you enjoy it.
we won't be anywhere near the favourites. Like the American team will have 3 of the top 10 in the world playing. Won't be similar for Spain and a couple of other countries. Whereas our Scottish team, I'm down at about 400th in the rankings now, and the other 2 are similar. So on paper, everyone else is up here and we're a little bit lower down. But golf's funny because there's not that big a difference between everyone. You know,
Yes.
for 18 holes, it's maybe a shot at most, or So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, primarily just try to soak it all in and enjoy the experience.
Yeah, I hope you do, Jen. It sounds like an incredible opportunity, and you, like you said, you're absolutely good enough to be there and go there and win it. So I look forward to seeing what happens.
We'll see what happens, and I'm sure when I get back, I'll just be back to my desk. So if it doesn't go as planned, I can just switch off and work
Yeah,
will take over, and I can forget about it for a little while. So it's good to have that go both ways.
yeah. Just don't come back and start analysing your round afterwards as to where it all went wrong.
Yeah.
Forget about it. Forget about
If
that
it
one.
went well, I'll do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in the office, just showing everyone.
Mhm.
Look at this one I hit. Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, Jen. It's been lovely to meet you and to
Yeah.
hear your story as well, and have your insight into the game.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on. It's been nice to chat to you.
Thanks, Jen.